Hello gamers and welcome back. I'm Rob, of course, or Warshack if you want to call me by my in-game name, and we're going to be playing some of that N'Zoth Control Warrior. We're going to be playing Warrior a little bit until the new update happens and Warshack gets destroyed. I want to get as much use out of this particular card and this class as possible before it becomes no longer a thing. Once the Warshack nerf hits, it's going to hurt the class, not only Pirate Warrior, but Control Warrior, Tempo Warrior, Mid-Range Warrior, whatever warrior you're building. The Warshack nerf is just disgusting. So, with that, that's why we're playing this particular deck at the moment. I'm going to make the assumption that he's going to be playing Handlock. So if he's playing Handlock, we can actually keep Ravaging Ghoul Execute for, like, Giants. But if he thinks he probably assume that I'm Pirates. So if I'm Pirates, he's going to go for an early game. So I think it's actually fair to get rid of everything here. And just look for kind of our draw mechanics and, like, Mountain Fire Armor and stuff. He also could be Zoo, and then at that point we'd want to keep like Ravaging Ghoul, Sleep with the Fishes. So it's hard to say. It's honestly hard to say. I don't think he's Zoo though. Zoo's pretty unpopular, so I think I'm gonna mulligan everything. We're gonna look for like Barnes, Warshack, stuff like that. Alkalite of Pain is good. We got Brawl, which is nice. So this is a perfect hand. Even if he is playing Zoo, Brawl is nice. And the Execute's good if he is playing Handlock and he happens to draw a Giant. So I think we're covered there. Those are like some of the most important things that we have to watch out for. Also my, that's a pretty bad draw. I wish I would have milled the Battle Rage instead. That hurts me bad, Captain. I think I'm going to coin Alkalite. It's going to draw at least 2 cards. And I can see that our shirt is having a little bit of an issue because it's blue and it's a green screen. Blue doesn't like green or something. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It's really close to green, so we're going to see what we can do here to make it not look as bad. I think that's a pretty good way. There we go. So regardless, we're drawing 2 cards. Okay. So now the question is, what do we do? We have Dead Man's Hand with double Execute in our hand. That's not a bad way to go out. This is actually not a bad Dead Man's Hand already. But the problem is, because we definitely want to hit the second Brawl and we definitely want to grab Executes, but I don't think we necessarily need Battle Rage in our hand. And we only run 1 Dead Man's Hand, plus we want to get another N'Zoth. Like, we definitely want to copy our N'Zoth. So I think it's safe to just drop the Ravaging Ghoul here. But before I use an Execute, I'm definitely going to be using Dead Man's Hand. And also, if he decides he wants to Shadow Bolt that 3/3, Mortal Coil again. Alright, so we've seen double coil out of this guy already, which means if we Geast, we're not really getting rid of a lot. But the thing is, that's pretty good because this game can easily go to Fatigue. There's our N'Zoth. I'm actually going to Dead Man's Hand this. Do we want to play our Blood Razor? It's not really that great in this matchup. It's good activators for Execute, though. Doesn't seem that bad. The important part is we got the N'Zoth, double Execute, and a Brawl. Most of the time, we're not that fortunate. And the theory is, the reason we don't need Death Rattles in our hand for the Dead Man's Hand is because N'Zoth brings them back anyway. So there's really no point to have them. Because, like, let's say we Dead Man's Hand back a Dire Horn. As good as that is, like, we don't, like, we're going to be able to bring it twice as much back with N'Zoth. Sorry if I'm not explaining this or explaining it normally as well as I am. There's a hurricane impending. So, like, half my brain is over here trying to think of, like, everything I'll need for the hurricane stuff. And then half the brain is over here focusing on Hearthstone. So, my bad, guys. Okay, so this is going to be able to clear the board. I think I don't mind executing this Dread. So let's swing into this. The Whirlwind's going to hit. Now the question is, do we execute this or do we just drop the armor and then hero power? Or maybe we go with the shield block. Like, I don't mind executing this, but at the same time, this isn't like really that big of an issue at the moment. I think I'm gonna shield block, see what we draw. Another Brawl. I'm gonna drop the armor. He doesn't have any healing in this deck, and I don't think he's gonna... Well, he does have healing if he runs Earthen Farseer, but I don't think he's gonna Farseer or Dreadlord, so we're gonna be able to execute that next turn if we feel the need to. And this contests this, unless he wants to use 1 more damage, but as we've seen, he already used double Mortal Coil, so it's hard for Warlocks to deal 1 damage right now. And he's not gonna want to Hellfire. Silencing it is fine. Still gonna be able to trade into the 4/4. Well, no, it's actually not because of that ability. You right. You right. Hatchling's a good draw. It's interesting he chose to silence the armor one and not like a Dire Horn. Because this is going to give me a pretty big minion in my deck. That's a really good demon he got. Lines up well with Black Knight though. I don't think he runs any other taunts. So currently 2 Death Rattle minions have died. We do have 2 more executes in the deck, so I don't mind getting rid of it, putting this on a clean board. So like before he could trade and then Abyssal Enforcer, and then he still has a 6/6 on the board that we deal with, and now we just have this 4/5. So we can trade and then we just need 2 damage. Unless he has Drain Soul as well. Alright. Alright there, buddy. We're getting kind of tricky. Let's go 1 Battle Rage, see what we get. Doesn't really change any much. I'll drop the armor and a hero power. So if this dies, I'll actually end up playing N'Zoth, because it's going to bring back a Dire Horn and 2 Mountain Fires, which is fine.
This jungle hides many secrets.
If he plays another minion, I can Brawl. No Brawl, tap last. Well, he wants to play the pack and then tap, I suppose. That makes the most sense. So do I Brawl this board? I can't really get through anything. Like if I go with the Black Knight here, this can't trade into either one of these. So like if we Brawl, it's a 50-50 that a good minion lives, and it's if one of these lives, it's pretty annoying. I think it's a safe bet. It's a 50-50. That's something that we want lives. The worst minion lived. Fuck. Slightly annoying. Okay, so we're just dropping the first N'Zoth. Hopefully these things die on his turn, and we can get some armor. Because getting 7 armor, or 6 armor apiece is going to be pretty good. The problem comes that we didn't really bring back a Karen, and Karen's a lot of value. But this is pretty okay, because we still get 2 Dire Horns. We're actually going to have another one, and we still have 1 another in the deck. So we're going to bring back 2 Dire Horns, 2 of these guys. He's using a lot of Siphon Soul. He's used... We just haven't seen a Twisting Nether yet, I believe, and a Hellfire. Ooh, that's good for us. That's so good. Interesting that he wouldn't trade. I kind of want to wait. I kind of just want to go with the Alkalite, Blood Razor, Execute. So if we go N'Zoth again, as good as it is, I guess it forces the Twisting Nether, but he's most assuredly has a Twisting Nether, right? And we want to bring back Karen. But, what if he doesn't have it? I think it's fair. He's gonna have to deal with like 5 Dire Horn, and that's a 6 attack, 9 HP for 5 mana. It's pretty brutal. So this is where he has Twisting Nether, he busts. But he only has 6 cards in the deck, so I mean there's a good chance he has Twisting Nether. But Fatigue, we're gonna be able to definitely come back in Fatigue here. Especially if he kills all these mountains on our side this turn. Because that's 6 apiece, there's 4 of them, we're talking about 24 armor right there. And he's gonna have to do something, even if he just Hellfires. So there's the Twisting Nether, we kind of saw this coming. So we're gonna gain a ton of armor here. Feels good, man. Mistress of Mixtures actually helps us more than him. So the question is, I don't really mind drawing. How important is killing Mistress, though? I kind of just want to play the Hatchling. So I guess first we blood. Let me drop the Hatchling. I guess we could have Alkalited a Pain, but we can play that next turn. I wanted to put a decent minion on the board and be able to Blood Razor. When there was no way we could Blood Razor and play the Alkalite and a decent minion. So Gul'dan's going to bring back all his things, then we're going to Brawl. His hero power is going to be pretty good. Alrighty, so as long as the biggest minion in his deck doesn't live, I think we'll be... Or the biggest minion on the board doesn't live. Like, we could still, I guess, execute it, but that's, like, not ideal. Direhorn, first one out. Voidwalker lives. It's totally okay. Just trade into that, no big deal. It's gonna Whirlwind, we're gonna be able to draw another card. And as long as we just armor up every turn, his gain 3 will kind of get canceled out by our gain 2, so he's really only dealing 1 damage per turn, which is pretty nice. Again, I'm not really worried about fatigue, so... We can execute or double fish. Kind of just like execute. Didn't kill anything because we already used the double mortal coil. Makes sense. Drake is fine. Not sure what to do about this Drake. I'm just gonna make sure we hero power return. I wanted to get the armor off of him because he doesn't generate any more armor. And I highly doubt he runs Draxus too, so. It's his second Siphon Soul. Hero power goes here, this goes face. It's unfortunate. So I guess we should have traded there. But this should be fine. There's no point to War Exit yet. So he's out of Siphon Souls, he's almost out of cards. Even with hero power and trading, it's only 7 and this is at 9. Geese does nothing. Siphon Soul. And he has the deal 2 damage, right? Yeah. And this, he's already at 30, so like the healing didn't even really go off for him there. And this is where fatigue will start setting in. Him healing for 3 every turn will be an issue, but I still think we can outlast him just because he's limited in resources. He only has 7 cards left, and we're gonna still draw 1 every turn. Tar Creeper just dies to Black Knight. I'm not really scared of that. If we draw any Whirlwind ability, we can go Double Sleep, which is why I wanted to keep it. No Whirlwind ability, but... I mean, really, we could just play this. But... just taking off as much damage on the board is pretty good right now. I guess he doesn't play Giants. We didn't see a single Giant all game. Interesting. He could obviously trade into any one of those, and at the end of the turn it'll die. Sucks that we hadn't drawn Barnes at all either, so Barnes is never going to get a good minion. It's not going to hit anything with the Death Rattle. Defile. Hellfire. Okay. It's pretty good for him. I'm not sure if I attack this 2-1. Because this is 5 damage. It goes to 4. I don't think I'm not worried about attacking it. Just making sure that we armor up every turn is the most important thing here. I guess he could get a tome. Polymorph is pretty good. Jesus, man. Do I attack into this? I mean, he's only used 1 defile, so technically he could defile again. So we still have 1 more Dire Horn left. We still have a Barnes, a Ravaging Ghoul, Primal Lord. Not good. We still have 7 cards. This is still annoying. I wanted to save execute. Our minion was gonna die regardless, so. Well, I guess we could have gone Blood Razor and then went face for 6. That was an option, but then we would have had to execute. If he plays a minion we don't like, we're gonna want to kill it. Why do I have the feeling that he can still make a comeback here? Why do I get this strange feeling that he can still make a comeback? Is Barnes gonna be the last card in our deck? That's gonna feel so bad. So this is never coming back to life. Jesus. It's a good card. Alright, fatigue is gonna get him. It was a close game. Surprisingly, this was a pretty close game. The Elise was pretty good. I think if he would have ran Giants, he would have been in a much better position. But granted, we also never drew Barnes, which is like a really big impactor. So like we could have Barnes into a Karen or like a Dire Horn, and that would have been really, really good too. But it never happened. Because that would have gave us an additional card in the deck. An additional card for N'Zoth to bring back as well. Alrighty, so against Druid, I'm gonna keep War Axe and we're gonna dip out on everything else. So Innervate Fledgling. Oh, what the hell? Okay, so we're facing aggro Pirate Druid. Brand new to the meta. No longer do we have to put up with this this aggro token Druid bullshit. We have now moved to even more cancer. The Pirate aggro Druid, where we can innervate out a 3/3 that summons a 2/2 with charge. Jesus, man. I got some deep stuff right there, man. I want to keep Ravaging Ghoul sleep. So I kind of want to just, want to slam this. I mean, Ravaging here, though, is really, really good. But the thing is, like, we're not going to... We want to use these two together, so... That changes stuff. So now we don't have to use Ravaging Ghoul with Sleep, because we drew Brawl. Blood Razor is good, but the problem is we still can't trigger everything that we want to. We'll be able to play Sleep next turn. Ideally, he just doesn't fill up the board with shit. If he does, then we can just go Brawl. He's deciding to buff the board to play around the Sleep. It's pretty good. So we're going to have to execute this 5-4 now. And then we're going to have to melee swing into the... We could double Sleep. But I don't think that's really that great. So now the question is, do we armor up or do we battle rage and draw 2? I like battle raging. I don't think there's going to be a better time we're going to draw it. And like 12 HP is kind of a lot for a druid because they don't have burst. So as much as, because we also could draw into like shield block and stuff. Hydra was my only worry because we got rid of our execute, but this should still be okay. Because now we can trade, Sleep, and then armor up. I want to save 1 Sleep with the Blood Razor for living mana. We have Brawls too. Like, we're totally covered. This game is over. The only way he now wins, or he comes back, is if he plays another Hydra. Because then we don't really have a great way to deal with that. But whatever he does to the board, we're going to be able to easily kill it. A 3-3, we could War Axe it. Or we could just Blood Razor Sleep. Because we have Brawl for the living mana. I guess we can take the 3. Armor up after. Hero power. We're chilling. This deck, I think, does really well against controlled our aggro decks for the most part. Because we have so much field clear. And then we have a lot of armor gain. We have a decent amount of draw. We have a good chance to get, like, you know, taunts with the Dire Horn is pretty good. So. The only thing that I wish I could fit into this deck is maybe like a Bring It On. But it's hard to say where that would go. It's hard to say where all that would go. Slamming that armor up every turn feels pretty nice. Also, I guess Black Knight really isn't needed. You could probably get away without playing Black Knight, but the thing is, so many people are playing cards like Bone Mare and, like, look at that. Bone Mare, speaking of which, you know, Paladins have Steed. You got Lich King, which is really popular too, so... Okay, so I'm trying to think of the best way to clear this. Obviously, we can attack into it, but we're not going to attack first. I kind of like the Blood Razor, Ravaging Ghoul. Well, yeah. Well, we could just Brawl, but that feels like not very good. Because what if this lives? So Blood Razor, Ravaging Ghoul trade. He leaves a 5/5 on board. Blood Razor, Ravaging Ghoul, trade Sleep. Yeah, that works. I just want to keep the board. And we still have Brawls for living mana. So, we're good. And I attacked because next turn we can go Alkalite and then draw with Alkalite. All good. All good. We've prepped for this. We could even go as far as just ignoring it, but this should be fine. Because now we can go Alkalite attack, or we can just go Dire Horn. Pretty good. It's good that our minion lived, but it wouldn't have made any sort of difference there. Like, we still had the ability to kill off the last living mana, or play the Alkalite and attack and then draw, or we could have just played the taunt and killed it. Like, the game was over. It's an interesting little cancer deck he has, though, with the patches and the pirate. And the patches isn't, like, unusual, but the the captain sure is. And the bone mare is really not that common as well in that particular druid deck. If you're running taunt druid, then it makes sense, but that was like an aggro druid, but he like thought he was being cheeky by throwing in a bone mare for like some late game burst. But like you win through the beginning of the game. If you're winning through bone mare with your druid deck and you're an aggro, like that just seems kind of weird to me. We get rid of all this. We look for early game. This is a evolve shaman. This is a really bad hand we have here. This is not what we want. This deck is feeling pretty nice though, to be honest. I don't know how it's gonna compete versus Jade Druid, but so far, and against the priest class, I don't know how we're gonna do against them, but so far it beats aggro, and it beats weird hand locks with no giants. So all we need is an activator for sleep, and we're chilling. You also could replace Black Knight with Hellscream, because he gives you the activator for cards like Execute and stuff like that. So this is really, really bad for us. Excruciatingly bad. So we play Alkalite, we draw 1. If we play Shield Block, we're still drawing 1. So I don't think this Alkalite is going to get any better. Plus, it's going to have 1 take damage, so if we end up drawing like a weapon, I don't know, maybe it works out. All we really need is a Ravaging Ghoul. We're going to be fine. Slam's pretty good. It'd be really sad if we get trashed by this shaman deck from just aggro shit like this. The reason I hit the totem is because if we hit like any sort of whirlwind that we like, let's say we draw into the Blood Razor, at least this dies, and this is where all his damage comes from. Yeah, this is a good card. That's the card we were looking for. So now the question is, do we want to get rid of the remaining? I don't see why not. So against his deck, Karen's pretty bad because of devolve. So is Hatchling, but we're just gonna probably play on curve. Okay, it's fine. So we're gonna go Karen here. Ghoul is good. We're gonna save that for the second sleep. So hopefully he doesn't devolve. Well, even if he devolves, we get a 5 mana card. Like Ally Armorsmith could be awesome. Another Sarah could be good. Next turn we go Sarah Hero Power, which is why I didn't want to play Sarah here, because then we float and then we play this guy and we float. So it's best to just go on curve at the moment so we can fit in our Hero Powers on next turn when we play the Sarah. Granted that we would have taken less damage this turn, but we're at 18. We're not scared of Bloodlust. And if he goes Doppel Evolve, at least we have a card that can trade and live and stay on the board versus a card that only has 3 attack that's not going to be able to kill. Most 6 drops have more than 3 HP. Some of them can die to this Karen. Also, he runs the risk of, because he has 2 1-drops out, that if he evolves, he could hit Doomsayer, which would be fantastic. Because then this would actually pop and we'd still have a creature on his turn, which will give us hopefully initiative. Or maybe he just DC'd. Mana Tide, this is good. Thing from below, we can... I think I'm going to actually execute. I'm going to go Ravaging Ghoul, execute the 5/5, and we're actually going to use a double execute here. If we draw a Brawl, I don't think we use it. I still think I go with the double execute. Blood Razor. Do we ever play the Blood Razor over it? No. We could actually trade and execute the Mana Tide. I'm doing this because the only way he comes back is by comes back in this game is by drawing. We're always gonna outvalue him, so. And we have, like, this popping is good because now we're gonna play Sarah. Sarah's probably gonna die. We're gonna drop N'Zoth. We're gonna get back a Karen and a Hatchling, and that's perfectly fine. Currently, we can get through. As long as this is okay, that's fine. That's all he does. This is totally good. Awesome. So first things first, we always kill this. We're gonna be playing the Hatchling, but we can draw a card too, or we could actually go with the Slam here and then Blood Razor. But I want to say Blood Razor and Activator, for we have that second sleep. So I guess we want to draw. Barnes is tempting, but I think it's gonna be this guy every time. This is where our comeback begins. You actually could devolve this, but this would. Oh, this is only a 4. That's weird. I didn't even notice that. So Bane Bloodhoof, the original one is 6 mana, but this one is actually just 4 mana. So if they devolve this one, it turns into a 3 mana card. Ooh, I thought it was also a 6 HP. That's sad. So in his hand, it probably consists of like Thrall, stuff like that. I don't mind equipping the Blood Razor here. I'm playing in the Death Rattle cards because they're guaranteed if they die to come back with the N'Zoth. If we Barnes, it's not a guarantee. It hits a Death Rattle card. It's gonna hit an Alkalite. Oh, well. It's like 50-50 because we have... I have to concede. Nice! So it could hit the Black Knight, the Geist, or it could hit the Dire Horn and the Alkalite. So there's actually only one Death Rattle that would have hit there. But either way. Deck's working out pretty good. Good against aggro. We'll keep testing it, and I'll keep making modifications as I see fit. I don't really know if we should be running Stalking Geese in the deck, just because I think if we go against Jade, we just lose anyway. Like, I don't think we win versus Jade regardless of playing the card or not, so we'll have to see. So anyway, guys, I'll catch you in the next episode, of course. I'm Robert Warshack, and happy whatever the hell day it is.